Hi, remote staff. So today I've been really thinking, well, for a little while, I've been thinking about where is the future of the world going? What do you as remote staff want out of the world? What's pretty much going on? So even though COVID has happened and no one really liked it, it was really painful in the short term. I think it has just pushed forward 10 or 15 years. That was inevitable. The inevitability was we were always going to move towards remote work. The age of going to an office, the age of doing all these things were going away anyway. People were moving from the cities to small suburban offices as it was to move away from the big city, the flashy city kind of stuff because there was no value in it. There's no value going to a city, spending all this time and lots of wages and people traveling, 1 or 2 hours a day to go to work to sit in an office building that was uninspiring. Essentially, like it's not a place you want to be working. It's it's just very cold, emotionally, mentally, everything else. So there was always going to be a move. There was a trend towards doing this, but has COVID happened now? You know, it's pushed things 10, 15 years ahead. Like it is pedal to the metal. It's going to happen. So remote staff, we as a society are moving towards this. So you to be valuable need to go with that. And as a remote staff, you can just be another remote staffer, learn the processes of a company. This, what I'm going to say to you, I think is very important, is you're going to feel like an outsider and you're going to learn the processes of a company and you just do what you're told and you do your job and you go home. And then that's fine. But the downside of that is you'll never ever achieve any of your goals and you'll never have essentially any money left over apart from what the market base rate will give you. That's because as soon as you want to do more or have more, the employer will just replace you. You know, that's an honest fact. If you don't think we will, every employer out there will. So that's completely how it is. It's not smiles and nice and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter about loyalty, it doesn't matter about that. Eventually people will say, well, you want this much money, someone else who's doing a processes oriented role, you're doing your job perfectly, someone else is going to do that. So to be able to be irreplaceable is to add so much value to the organization that you're working at that they're just like, this person's amazing, we can't replace them, they have all the right things. So the first thing to be irreplaceable is you need to plant your roots into something. You can't, swap from organization to organization, because to jump on organizations like ours, just to get a gist of it and understand the culture and the religion that we are, every organization is a religion, takes, you know, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, and that religion is of an organization is constantly changing. So you want to understand that religion of the organization, where it started from, how it thinks, all that kind of stuff. Then you need to be, that's just the beginning of how to be valuable. You've got to plant your seed somewhere. And then from there, let me think. So to bring it back, what are we aiming for is to be valuable as a remote worker. So what are the other disadvantages that you have as a remote worker is you're not sitting in a building, you're not friendly with people, you're not creating this vibe, you don't have the cultural things, you don't get to talk to that person across the desk with you or have team meetings and feel the human interaction. So with that lack, how can we still achieve this culture, this community, this friendship, this understanding, this loyalty, this like for each other, to be there for each other in good times and bad times? It's going to have to be done in other ways. So that's going to have to be done through videos and learning and emails and online Zoom meetings that get recorded and sent to everyone in the organization. So as an organization, we all have to be on the same wavelength. The wavelength is going to be, what do you value? What do you value? Do you value being able to improve as a person so you become more valuable so you can earn more money? Do you value spending more time at home? What is your values? The organization has to, everyone in the organization, to get along, to be on the same page. In a marriage, in a relationship with kids, you have to have similar values. As long as there's no similar values, everything is going to seem like a waste of time to the other party. So first thing we have to organize, we have to understand values. The second thing is to go above and beyond your role. So knowing your role really, really well, knowing the procedures, everything, that's great. The mastery of the role, all that kind of stuff. But it all starts off in the mind. The mind is going to be the storyline that you tell yourself. So when you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself a story. My name is blah, I live here, I had these parents, I go to this job, this is my future, my boss is like this, my colleagues are like this, I live in this place, and this whole storyline is going through your head. That storyline is more important than anything in the whole world. I know it sounds fake, I know it sounds like it's just another thing that someone's saying. How can the storyline be more knowledgeable than getting a degree at university? But once you can look at your storyline, understand it, write it out. Go, me, when I think about my job role, who am I in that job role? Why do I not get what I want? Why? And you know, things will come up in your head. Well, I don't get what I want because I didn't get all these education. I didn't get my parents to give me all this money so I can start a business, whatever it may be. So that storyline, everyone has a storyline. You don't get rid of your storyline. But you got to look at your storyline and go, what are my goals? What am I trying to achieve? And change your storyline to achieve that goal. So that storyline is going to be, and you're pretty much lying to yourself. You're decepting. You're faking it. You're lying to yourself. You're making it up. Whatever, however you might say it. But that storyline, whatever storyline you tell yourself, has to line up to your goals. And if your storyline does not line up to your goals, then change it. It doesn't have to be true. No storyline has to be true. It's just as long as you believe it and give yourself the evidence. You might say to yourself, well, I'm not smart enough to achieve this goal. And that might be true. You may not be smart enough. But then you've got to start to manipulate your brain. You've got to ask yourself questions like, where is the proof that I'm not smart enough? And you'd be like, well, there's no real proof. Well, if I were to learn things and try and work this and try all these things, could I get to my goal? And your brain's like, yeah, I could get to my goal. And then slowly you start changing your storyline. So the first and most important thing is to work on the storyline. And your philosophies around work and business, how should you be a person that gets really skilled and then changes business to business? Or should you stay in one business that's giving people opportunity and stay there? So that's another important thing. You've got to know your philosophies in life. So rather than, again, everyone would probably think that get good at your job. No, it starts with your storyline, starts with your philosophies, and then we can move on to getting knowledgeable at your work and all that kind of stuff. I think the next thing we need to do is, we've created a lot of emails here and videos about changing yourself as a person and becoming a person that is more usable in the world. That's your mindsets, that's your understandings, that's how your self-awareness, all those things. So you can come here, do your job and leave, or if you want to genuinely progress, you have to be able to take all those things that improve you or change you as a person and apply them, whether it's being able to have self-awareness. Self-awareness means being able to read your own thoughts and manipulate them using neuro-linguistics programming or whatever it may be. So all these skills, even though they seem like, wow, amazing, what are these books about, thousands of books on business, on relationships and building businesses and all this kind of, even though they're amazing, I think in 10, 15 years time, maybe less than that, people will look at and go, this is the kind of stuff you were supposed to be taught at school. This is the kind of stuff when you were 1 or 2 or 3 years old, we're supposed to be taught. And now you guys are 30, 40, 50, 20 years old and you don't know anything about this stuff. But these are the essential fundamentals before you start anything. So when you do join our organization, I encourage you to do all those personal changes, whether it's being able to have self-awareness and meditate, being able to have the mental skills to do multiple tasks and not get flustered, to be able to talk to yourself, to be able to um, understand how to talk to other people and use psychology and techniques. There's hundreds of books on psychology, on talking to people, self-awareness, management, self-management, hundreds of stuff out there. And we'll try to direct you and teach you those things. But end of the day, it's not something we can pay for in your 6 to 8 hours that you work a day that spend your time becoming a better person that you really should have known anyway. But unfortunately, no one's been taught these things throughout the world. So that's something you're going to have to learn. And we as a company will ask you to do that outside of your time to reach a goal that you want to reach, which is becoming a person that can work in the remote world, can add so much value to a company that's not replaceable. And then, rather than see, okay, I'm a remote worker, the people that are working in the office have a higher status, higher chances, they're with the company, they're going to get the promotions, they're going to get everything. But no, if you do these things, then you should be so valuable that you should get those things. But again, it's going to come down to what's another example of changing yourself as a person. So you've got the how to communicate with how to manage your managers, how to manage your peers, how to manage below you, how to communicate, how to get a message across without damaging people, how to think about everything that you do. So I guess that was the message I wanted to get across, which is remote staff is going to become critical in this company and in the world. And I think there's no stopping that. I think the pace has probably just increased. That was always going to happen. It was always going to happen by the year 2030, 2035. It was going to be virtual reality. It was going to be all these kind of things. It was going to be humans and technology using the technological part of humans working together. But now, don't, in 5 years' time, when people have applied what I've said and are doing well, don't think, oh, well, I should have done that 5 years ago. I'm telling you right now, do it. And I think from my understanding right now, in terms of the moving forward into the future, as technology is coming in, the jobs are being replaced. Whether you're an Uber driver, you'll be replaced with an automated car. Whether you're a computer programmer that's being replaced by artificial intelligence, whatever it may be. So jobs are going to be replaced, but technology is in that merge state where humans are not fully replaceable yet. So it's in that state where we are going to be computers will do the processing for us, the thinking, the going through data mining and everything else. But end of the day, humans still have to set the parameters of what the processing is, and humans still have to make the creative decisions, and humans still have to have the drive and willpower and direction. So the direction, the vision is still created by humans. The creativity is still created by humans. And so an example of this would be if we're in maintenance. So it's going to be one of the hardest industries to replace by computers. So right now, if you're in building and construction, that's getting easier, where they have big printers that will just print a house, print anything you want, and you don't need anybody anymore to do the work. So then the humans are replaced there, simple as that. So someone has to look after the computers, but the humans doing the work are gone. Maintenance, when it comes to broken houses or broken taps or broken walls, whatever, when the computer looks at it, it's never seen it before, so it doesn't have previous data to make a decision going, I can fix this. It doesn't have any previous going, well, I've seen this before, because every job in maintenance is different. It's a different scenario, at one stage, it will start being able to do that, but it doesn't look like it's going to be there for another 15 to 20 years, maybe longer. So while printed houses are already here. So the good thing about industry, we're going to be around for a while. But let me show you an example of what a computer might look like. So, a computer and humans merging together to get an outcome. say you've got a brick wall like that and it breaks down for whatever reason, a section of it. So then you have a machine that will lay the bricks for you. And then you have an operator that works next to it and is guiding the machine, making sure the machine's doing the right job. So, and say all of a sudden it starts raining. So now the machine can't work in the rain and now the operator's upset. So you, as a person that is managing the situation and making creative, innovative decisions, where do you turn to? Do you turn to a computer to make a decision, to find a solution with this, to find this? It's a total puzzle. How do we make, it's raining, computer can't work in the rain, and the person is upset that's working with the computer. Because they're upset it's raining, they're upset for whatever reason, 1,000 reasons. So there's, what's going to fix the situation? Another computer? Probably not, because there's no computer out there that can figure this out. So you, as a creative innovator, in every single moment of your life, you're creating something, you're innovating something, you're an inventor. Everybody in the world has to become an inventor. So what are you inventing? You're looking at your scenario and going, well, okay, the first thing I need to do is figure out a solution for this whole scenario. Let me think. How much money do we have? What resources do we have? What's my previous recollection? What are we trying to achieve? We are trying to get this project to keep going, even though there's certain parameters in the way. So the first thing we've got to do is probably use our psychology, our ability to deal with people, and lead this angry person that's upset in the right direction. You know, have a chat to them and go, hey, what are you upset about? How can we redo this? Can we find a solution? And they're like, well, maybe one solution is this. And you start to negotiate and get the person that's upset on side. Again, that requires invention, psychology, a lot of things. Something the computer can't do. And the computer itself can't work because it's wet. So then you're like, all right, cool. Then you look at your resources. What do you have around you? Who do you have around you? And you make a few calls, and you're like, oh well, you get a bit of an idea. Like, what if we put a shade cloth over the instrument, over the bricklaying machine, and you look at how much money, resources you have to do that, and you're like, yes. You speak to the project manager, and they go, yes, we have enough money to do that, and then you put a shade cloth over it. You speak to the client, and now you've invented a solution. And that's the future of the world, which is everybody has to become an inventor. It's no longer good enough to, as the world changed, you were a farmer. From farmers, it went to process workers that you just, packed a box and the machine did it all. And when there was farmers, maybe 1 or 2% of the population were the thinkers, were the brains behind everything. And then when it went to machinery, maybe about 8% of the population were the thinkers, and 90% of people were still just the laborers. And then it went into, the modern world, where with computers, then it's moved to maybe 80% of the world, well, maybe about 50% of the world are thinkers, and about 50% of the world are just following the rules, just following system, basic jobs. As you can see, basic jobs are being replaced by other assets doing the job, or by the thinkers doing the job. So essentially, the job for a non-thinker is going, it's gone. And so you have to become those people. To survive in the world, your kids will have to be. And I hope that did make sense. And that's a bit of a summary of what I can think of. I'm sure I'll think of other things, and if you have any questions, let me know. Or if I said something that didn't make sense, I could probably talk for hours around all these topics. But I hope at the heart of it, you can look at, okay, what are the organizational needs, this organization or any company that you may work towards, and what are the needs of, what are your needs, and how are you going to achieve it? So if you don't want to do it for yourself, if you don't want to do it for the organization, if you don't want to do it for other companies, do it for yourself. These skills and attributes are going to make you relevant in the modern world. Thank you very much for your time.